It may be hard to believe, but it has now been 5 years since the Black Lives Matter riots of 2020. The protests caused weeks of unrest and destruction in cities across the country in the wake of the death of George Floyd. A report by the Major Cities Chiefs Association documenting 2,385 looting incidents, 625 acts of arson, including 97 police cars burned, 2,037 police officers injured from May 25th to July 31st of 2020. David Dorn, a 77-year-old former police captain, was shot and killed during a burglary of his pawn shop in St. Louis during the riots, which were, of course, infamously described by CNN as mostly peaceful. According to the New York Post, insurance companies made between $1 and $2 billion worth of payouts to cover the damages around the country from the week of May 26th to June 1st, 2020. It started with the Memorial Day death of George Floyd, who died during an arrest by Minneapolis police officers, where video showed Officer Derek Chauvin with what appeared to be his knee on Floyd's neck as he shouted for help. Officer Chauvin is now in prison after being convicted of second-degree murder, later pleading guilty to violating Floyd's civil rights. Protests over Floyd's death quickly erupted in Minneapolis and soon after spiraled out of control, with the city overwhelmed with incidents of looting and destruction and a governor who did next to nothing. His name was Tim Walz. A report by the city finding the riots caused 133 structure fires, $500 million in damage, again, just from May 25th to June 3rd of 2020. Here's some of it.
Hands up, don't shoot! Hands up!
9901, 9901 emergency. We got individuals breaching the gate at the 3rd precinct. We also got people trying to breach the front doors.
Oh, to breach the back gate. They're taking heavy rock.
Heavy rock. Airing information citywide. The 3rd precinct has been compromised.
3rd precinct is up in flames.
We're gonna move back. They're starting to throw Molotov cocktails. We're going.
In perhaps the most dramatic moment, rioters took over Minneapolis's 3rd precinct. You heard it referenced there, burning it to the ground. That happened on May 28th, exactly 5 years ago today. Here's what officers said about that event from an Alpha News documentary.
So I get a command over the radio that we need to evacuate the 3rd precinct.
Evacuate now. Evacuate now.
I said, like, right now?
Do we have to evacuate right now?
And they said, yes, immediately. We run. We run with our belts on and 50-some people and 3 SWAT teams, and we get to the fence. We can't get out.
We got it going. We're sitting ducks here.
There was only one way in and one way out, and the way out was locked.
1283, they breached the northwest corner of the front.
Northwest corner of the front has been breached.
They're coming in the back. We need to move.
Need to move now.
One of the squads rams through the fence to get it open.
I remember looking through the rearview mirror as we left. It looked like a zombie movie. They all just rushed to the fence and started climbing the fence, and they caused the fences to collapse, and then they just all rushed the precinct.
But as I got maybe a quarter block away, I realized that not everyone was in vehicles. They were running basically for their lives at that point.
This is allowed. That Alpha News documentary is amazing. It was put together by Alpha News, including Liz Collins. She's been on the program multiple times. But our in-depth look at the documentary with Liz is episode 670, if you want to go back and listen to it. It's well worth your time. They allowed the 3rd precinct to burn. There was a complicit mayor, and as I mentioned, the governor, and no one was looking out for regular law-abiding citizens in Minneapolis. And as you well know, it went far beyond Minneapolis. The BLM bullies went coast to coast in their so-called activism, trying to target not just cops, but regular people to repeat and support their message, including this incident in Pittsburgh. People being harassed as they tried to eat outdoors, which we were all forced to do because of the COVID mania by these BLM rioters, protesters, activists. You can call them whatever you want. They were bullies harassing private citizens into repeating their message or raising the fist, like what happened here in Washington, D.C. For the listening audience, one woman is surrounded by dozens of mostly white people with their fists up trying to get her to do the same. They're yelling, "Put your fist up." White silence is violence. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We lived through this. It was only 5 years ago. The city of Minneapolis still has not recovered, despite all of the money that's poured into that city to rebuild so-called George Floyd Square. Many buildings showing the scars from the unrest. The New York Post earlier this month talking to a black man who owns an auto detailing shop near the George Floyd Memorial who said, quote, "Black Lives Matter was never here. I never saw them, even one time. Everyone was just capitalizing off of a dead man. That's what happened here, and that's what no one will tell you." But let's not forget what Democrats were saying at the time. Here's what Kamala Harris told Stephen Colbert in June of 2020.
I know that there are protests still happening in major cities across the United States. I'm just not seeing the reporting on it that I had
that's right.
for the first few weeks.
That's right. But they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And they're not, this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not.
Cities were burning. Cops were being regularly hurt. She didn't care. It's not going to stop, and we shouldn't stop. She's now a lawyer looking for work. This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the U.S. dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for U.S. dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition, if it happens, would not happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.